Should you not be a fan of a fairy tale castle, then we suggest you look away now. This week we visit Sintra, where the Palace of Pena is about as fairy tales get. We also get amped in search of big waves and record-breaking surf on the infamous North Beach in Nazaré. We're the Newbys, a family of travellers with big dreams. I'm Tara, this is John, and this year we were joined by our little boy Crusoe. 2020 sent the world for a loop, and it sent us on a journey. Not wanting to waste a single minute or second of it, we embraced van life and travelled to over 20 countries in Europe in our self-converted camper van. With the arrival of Crusoe into the world, our priorities remain the same: to make every moment matter, to take this little family around the world and to teach our children about huge horizons, a life full of opportunity and adventure around every corner.
It's a very grey day here at
North Beach in Nazaré, which is the Guinness World Book of... What's it? The
Guinness Book of World Records
for the biggest waves ever surfed.
They look fairly ordinary at the moment, but that's because we're here at the wrong time of year. November, I understand, is a better time of year to come for the massive waves.
October to March, in fact.
October to March.
Is the season for the big ones.
And of course it is June right now.
Yeah, so we're way out of it, really.
So we're way out of the season, but the beach looks nice. It is a bit of a grey day. Crusoe's got lots to say today, and this is the beginning of our road trip south through Portugal.
What do you think, little man?
Well, he's awake for this one.
This is good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do you think that means he's going to be a cool dude surfer?
Well, he might be.
Might be.
Scare the heck out of his mum in 16 years' time. When
he's going to be doing that regardless.
We learned that it's the presence of Europe's largest submarine canyon, the Nazaré Canyon, that is responsible for the enormous waves on the North Beach. The canyon reaches depths of 5,000 metres and is 230 kilometres long. The current world record is held by Brazilian Rodrigo Cox for a wave measuring 24.38 metres surfed in 2017. But in 2018, Hugo Vau claimed to have surfed a wave measuring 35 metres. The competition each year gathers crowds nearing on 200,000 people. It's all a bit mental, really.
This is Crusoe's first proper beach and the first time he's had his feet stuck in the sand. What a cool place to do it.
What a cool place to do it, and he is happy about it.
Sometimes the waves that crash on this beach are as tall as that cliff behind us.
Amazing. I think we're going to have to come back to see it proper.
Well, that won't be any hardship. I like Portugal a lot.
Me too. That's where they watch the surfing competition from. So go and stand up there and see what it's like.
Perfect. As with most things in Portugal, if you haven't got cash, you ain't going nowhere. Tara and I, we forgot our cash, our purse in the car. It's over the other side of the beach. We're not going back, so we can't get in. It is only €1 each to get into this fort, which is a real shame as well. Never mind. Dives on the biggest waves in the world. What do you think? I'm ready, Dad.
Looks like, doesn't it?
I'm ready. Give me a board.
Keen as mustard.
What do you say, Crusoe? It's a long drop that way, isn't it? Should we go back? Crusoe's good for climbing down the rock. So we are pretty high up at the moment. I don't know quite how high above sea level we are here, but there are definitely photographs online that have got the waves crashing over the top of the lighthouse and the fort here that looks super impressive. The truth is, the waves coming in are around about 20 meters high, which is massive anyway. Sometimes they're coming in 30 meters high as well. Now imagine that, 30 meters high. What's the average person? Less than 2 meters.
That is a big ass wave.
Imagine that.
World record holders, darling. World
record holders. I would love to come back and have a look at that.
I think we're gonna, aren't we?
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to. I'm surprised the whole beach just doesn't disappear.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Isn't it? Look at it. It's a beautiful beach as well.
Since the surf wasn't really up, we said goodbye to the crashing waves of Nazaré and began making our way towards Sintra in search of those fairy tale castles.
Walking uphill to get to a colourful castle. We haven't had breakfast yet. Oh dear.
Leave me alone.
Is it stressful? We're going the right way.
We found a shortcut described by a local man as this and then like this. My first tip about visiting Sintra is don't walk.
Don't walk, she says. Walking's always the best bit. What?
It's like the never-ending hill of doom. But I guarantee there's nowhere for breakfast up there.
There is, it says at the top there's a restaurant.
10.
Well, it'll be 10 by the time you get up there.
So hot. Thing is, darling, see, I dressed for a nice day in a charming old town, visiting fairy tale castles, not hiking.
Nearly there, darling.
Nothing, I can't, please.
Good. No, not good. It's actually a really nice walk. There's a bunch of koppies balancing granite rocks just around the corner there. Quite pretty to look at.
Yeah, it is very beautiful.
It is a nice walk, especially for first thing in the morning when it's nice and cool. I definitely wouldn't walk up this hill in the middle of the day.
Or just at all. No, it's been lovely.
Yeah.
Get all back.
Only
Just
halfway
get me
there
some
yet,
breakfast.
don't tell her.
Oh God, the cheeriness is on shaky ground.
It's on shaky ground.
Starving.
She's starving. Coffee and cake at the top of the hill.
Yeah,
That's what they tell me.
he's lying. Oh wow, that's amazing. It's quite an incredible colour against the blue sky, isn't it?
We found it. It's up there. That's good news. I'm starting to get worried. We're a bit early. Everything's closed.
Read the sign.
What?
Cafeteria
Yeah.
closed.
No. Oh shit. Where do we get breakfast from?
Could have done with a nice hearty breakfast and a good cup of coffee to start the day.
We could have.
Never mind. Okay, so we've made it to the Palace of Pena, which looks amazing. There's a beautiful palace here, but also really beautiful gardens. To get into the gardens is €7.50. To get into the palace is €14. I think we're just going to do the gardens because the views of the palace are amazing and we've got lots we want to see today. And because of where Sintra is, it's like the weather really changes at midday. So we've only really got a short window this morning of blue skies, which we want to max out on. So we're waiting for them to open the ticket office. Apparently it opens at 9. We got here at 10:02. Fingers crossed they're not running late and we can go into the gardens. Before COVID, we had loads of trips booked. And one of the things that John loves to do is connect lines around the world that he's driven. And there was a really important line that we wanted to drive from Faro all the way up to Bilbao in northern Spain. And this castle was going to be the highlight of that trip. Obviously that never happened because of COVID. And here we are.
Look at how cool it is. It's like a toy castle, but it's not a toy castle. It's just brilliant. Look at it. So cool. Brilliant. So pleased to be here.
So originally on this site was a monastery, and this was a space of calm and meditation. But in the great earthquake of Lisbon in 1755, the monastery was reduced to ruins, and it remained as a ruin until the 1800s, when King Ferdinand II acquired all of this land and lots of estates around here and decided to build the palace. And it was almost completed in 1947 until King Ferdinand and Queen Maria II intervened because they wanted some more ornate arches and decoration to be implemented here. And then it was finally completed in 1854. After the Republican Revolution of 1910, it was declared a national monument. And Queen Amelia, who was the final queen of Portugal, spent her last night in this palace before she went into exile. Wow. You can hardly move, you just want to take pictures and pictures and pictures, don't you? That is astonishingly beautiful. The detail, the variety, it's just wow.
Are you happy now?
Yes, very happy. What I find amazing to imagine is when King Ferdinand bought the monastery to then convert into the palace. I love to imagine the meetings he must have had with his architects and designers where his imagination was just going completely mental. You know, let's have a gargoyle here, let's have daisies carved into the concrete here, and let's have crocodiles as gutters, and this bit must be yellow and this bit must be red, and let's put tiles everywhere. It must just be the most joyful experience to have had that much money and the ability to just create something that was just so completely wild.
So for me, the only other castle I think in all of Europe that can compare to that kind of fantasy is the one on the Austrian-German border.
I've been thinking about that a lot this morning, but I think this one has the edge.
Do you think so?
I do. I think it's the colours.
Yeah,
it's magnificent.
Me too.
You could also say the Basilica in Spain, although not a castle, was the same kind of feeling when I was there of just being like, someone just literally vomited their imagination onto this building. Amazing. We're off to the High Cross this week. The walk over to the High Cross point at Pena takes you through the seriously beautiful and almost tropical forests and gardens of the palace. It looked like another hardcore climb from the palace, but actually was a gentle amble through the trees to admire the best views of the palace across the hills. Way to start a day in Sintra. Love it. Let's go see what else we can find, shall we?
Where's next then, my darling?
I think we're off to the Castle of the Moors, also known as the Moorish Castle.
The Moorish Castle, that's because on a day like today, when the sun is shining and you've had a nice cup of coffee and your tummy's full and you're no longer worried about being hangry or going uphill, you need more castles.
Definitely. They're very Moorish. Flowers in there are so beautiful. That's it already.
Obrigado, enjoy your visit.
Thanks very much. It's getting expensive, my darling.
Which is the way?
Up. The only way is up,
The only way is up.
baby.
Do you think you go that way?
Did you get that?
No, I didn't.
Darling, it's a song.
Oh, right.
Well, me and the boy, we love a Moorish castle. This feels more manly and rugged than the other pretty castle did. So, Crusoe and I are going to wander around.
Little chap.
Properly up for it.
Didn't sleep last night. That's all I'm saying.
Properly up for it.
Come on then.
Come on then. Look at how cool this is. The flowers and the moss growing out the side of the castle. I love it. It's so much contrast here compared to the pretty castle over the other side of the hill.
And this is only a 15-minute walk from the Palace of Pena.
Yeah, 15-minute sweaty walk. I'm sweating so much, but every time I walk in my sandals, my feet fart. Serious.
Farting
Hot.
feet.
Look at how cool it is, man. I love it. I would imagine that when the Moors were here and they were standing here with their swords and their shields and all sorts of kind of stuff for battle, there would have been no trees there and they'd have had this remarkable view across the valley. This Moorish castle was built in the 10th century by Muslim occupiers of the Iberian Peninsula, and it's got some watchtowers that help them look out over the Atlantic coast. When we get to the top, you'll be able to see the ocean is right there, just a stone's throw away in the distance.
Through the stone really hard.
That's true. Norway visited this exact place over 1,000 years ago.
No ways.
Just saw it from the sea and was like, I want to go and have a look at that.
That's so cool.
It is very cool. Hey, darling, it's like looking at the Great Wall of China.
Is it? Cool. On my way. Wow. That's incredible.
That's worth £8, isn't it?
That's definitely worth £8. Reminds me of San Marino.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it, a little bit?
Yeah.
Have a look at that.
Frustratingly, we didn't realise when we purchased the first tickets to the Pena Palace that we'd get a combo discount ticket for the Moorish Castle, so it ended up costing us a bit more than it should have. But it was 100% worth every single penny to climb up the next hill to admire the stone walls snaking their way across the hillside and the extraordinary views out towards the ocean.
Amazing views of the old town from up here. Wow, we really are on top of the world. I think it's time we go and find a cold drink. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
We've been climbing since 8 o'clock this morning.
I see beer. There we go. We have made it. Finally got a pint in my hand, and it feels very well deserved today.
It does, doesn't it?
So that was a wrap on Sintra, and we began to make our way towards Lisbon, but not before a brilliant stop off in Cascais to see our friend Carla, who'd helped us so much with planning our trip. Thank you so much for watching, especially those of you in Portugal. Your country is beautiful, your people are warm, and we will be back. Please remember to hit that thumbs up, leave us a comment, and why not become part of our community by hitting that all-important subscribe button.
We have been really missing van life over the last couple of weeks that we've been out here in Portugal. And so that drove us to try and get something that was a little bit similar. And now we're on a boat, which is great. Crusoe's first lines on the Newbys.
And we'll see you next week from Lisbon.